Roman Reigns cries as his cousin Solo Sikoa joins AEW, the end of an era for the Bloodline. The WWE Universe is still in shock following the bombshell news that Solo Sikoa has officially left WWE and signed with AEW. However, what truly stunned fans was the emotional reaction from none other than the tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns. The once undisputed leader of the Bloodline was seen breaking down in tears upon hearing the news of Solo's departure, marking a turning point in WWE's most dominant faction. How did it come to this? How did one of WWE's rising stars not only walk away from the company but defect to its biggest rival? And what does this mean for Roman Reigns and the future of the Bloodline? Let's break it all down. Solo Sikoa's rise in WWE, the silent enforcer of the Bloodline. When Solo Sikoa debuted on the WWE main roster at Clash at the Castle 2022, his presence was immediately felt. He arrived as the silent enforcer of the Bloodline, saving Roman Reigns from an imminent loss against Drew McIntyre. From that moment on, Solo became a key piece of the faction, standing alongside Roman and the Usos as they dominated WWE. Solo's role was clear. He was the muscle, the dangerous wildcard, and the one man who could take care of business when things got messy. His quiet intensity made him different from the Usos, who were more vocal and flashy. Solo let his actions do the talking, and it wasn't long before WWE fans saw him as the potential heir to Roman Reigns' throne. But as time went on, cracks began to form. The tribal combat match, the moment everything changed. In what was supposed to be the most honorable match of Solo's career, he stepped into the ring with Roman Reigns in a tribal combat match. This wasn't just about the WWE Universal Championship. It was about respect, power, and the future of their legendary Samoan dynasty. For months, Solo had grown tired of playing second fiddle to Roman. He saw how the Usos had turned against their cousin, and a part of him wondered if he was next. The tribal combat match was his chance to prove that he was not just a follower, but a leader in his own right. The battle was brutal, with Solo showing a level of aggression and dominance that had even Roman looking stunned at times. At one point, it seemed like Solo was going to do the impossible, defeat the tribal chief and take his place as the head of the table. But Roman, as always, found a way to win. He used every dirty trick in the book, capitalizing on Solo's one moment of hesitation. A thunderous spear and a guillotine choke later, Solo was left gasping for air as Roman stood tall once again. The match was over, but the damage was done. Solo had lost, but more importantly, he had lost his faith in the Bloodline. The fallout. Solo Sikoa walks out of WWE backstage after the match. Reports surfaced that Solo was furious. He felt that WWE creative had led him on, making him believe he had a real shot at dethroning Roman. Instead, he had been used as another stepping stone to further Reigns' legendary title reign. On SmackDown, Solo was scheduled to address the WWE Universe, but when the time came, he refused to speak. Instead, he ripped off his Bloodline gear, left his Ulafala necklace in the ring, and stormed out of the arena. Fans in attendance and watching at home were left speechless. Was this a storyline, or was Solo really done with WWE? Then came the shocking confirmation. Solo Sikoa had quit WWE. Sources backstage reported that Solo had a heated conversation with WWE officials, including Triple H and Paul Heyman. Solo allegedly said he felt underappreciated and misused. The breaking point? He didn't want to play second fiddle to Roman Reigns anymore. WWE tried to convince him to stay, even offering him a huge push and a main event storyline. But Solo had already made up his mind. Roman Reigns' emotional breakdown. While WWE officials were scrambling to salvage the situation, Roman Reigns was dealing with his own emotions. According to insiders, the tribal chief took the news hard. For years, Roman had built the Bloodline as an unbreakable force. Every betrayal, from the Usos to Sami Zayn, had chipped away at its foundation. But Solo was different. Solo was supposed to be loyal. He was supposed to be the one to carry on the family's dominance. When Roman was told that Solo had officially left WWE, those close to the situation claimed that he broke down in tears. Yes, you read that right. The cold, calculating tribal chief, who rarely shows emotion, was reportedly seen crying backstage. The thought of his own cousin, the man who was supposed to be his successor, walking away from the Bloodline and joining AEW was too much for him to handle. This wasn't just about wrestling. This was family. Solo Sikoa joins AEW, a game-changer for pro wrestling. Just days after his WWE exit, Solo Sikoa made his first appearance in AEW. In a move that sent shockwaves through the industry, Solo was introduced by none other than Tony Khan himself. The AEW crowd erupted as Solo walked down the ramp, wearing new ring gear, signaling the start of a brand new chapter in his career. While he didn't speak much during his debut, his actions spoke volumes. He was here to dominate. Fans immediately began speculating about what this meant for AEW. Would Solo align with powerhouse factions like the Blackpool Combat Club? Or would he form his own Samoan dynasty, bringing in other talents to rival WWE's Bloodline? One thing was clear. Solo was no longer living in Roman Reigns' shadow. The Bloodline's future without Solo Sikoa. With Solo gone, the Bloodline is in shambles. The Usos have already turned their backs on Roman, and now the last remaining enforcer has walked away too. Roman Reigns still holds the WWE Universal Championship, but how much longer can he continue without a loyal army behind him? The Bloodline's dominance was built on family, but now that family has crumbled. Some fans believe this could signal the beginning of the end for Roman Reigns' legendary title run. Without his cousins to back him up, challengers like Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, or even The Rock himself could finally dethrone him. On the other hand, there's always the chance that Roman could recruit new Bloodline members. But can they ever truly replace Solo Sikoa? Final thoughts. The wrestling world will never be the same. Solo Sikoa's WWE departure is one of the biggest shocks in recent memory. Not only has he left the company that built him into a star, but he has defected to AEW, WWE's biggest competitor. The fact that Roman Reigns, one of the most dominant champions in history, was brought to tears over this speaks volumes about how deep this cut. For AEW, this is a massive win. They now have one of WWE's most promising stars, and the possibilities for Solo's future are endless. For WWE, this is a wake-up call. They just lost a future main eventer, and if they're not careful, more stars could follow Solo's lead. For Roman Reigns, this is personal. His cousin, his enforcer, his heir, gone. And now, the cracks in his empire are wider than ever. One thing's for sure, the wrestling world will never be the same again. What do you think about Solo Sikoa joining AEW? And do you believe this is the beginning of the end for Roman Reigns? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to WWE Insider Report for all the latest updates on this unfolding drama.
Stepping in the spotlight, midnight thunder down my spine. Heartbeats crash, collide, lost control, no time. Fire burns from pain to pain, pushing past the pain.